Hello again. Thanks for joining me on my journey of joy, grief, and authenticity. My name is Hilarie Houghton, and in this episode, I want to talk about celebrating other people when you might not be in such a good place in life and you might not feel like celebrating. Whether you are going through something difficult, in mourning, there may be a variety of reasons why you are struggling, and others around you might be celebrating something good happening in their life. Here are some good examples. Let's say you've just lost your spouse and you have a dear friend who's getting married. You know, that's a difficult situation. And while we want that person to mourn with us, at the same time, we need to be rejoicing with them. Another good example is, let's say your friend gets a promotion and you are really struggling with your career. Maybe you really hate your job. Those are two totally different experiences, and but there's power in celebrating with that person, no matter how hard it might be. So here's a really personal example that I'd like to use, and none of you will be surprised to hear me say this, but we lost our baby girl, Hollis, in May, and she was alive for 6 days. And we're in a place in our life where everyone is starting families or growing their families. And so I have a lot of friends that are having babies or getting pregnant, and those are reasons to celebrate. I asked them to mourn with me, and they did it so well. And now it's my turn to celebrate with them. My friends and I have talked about this a lot, how difficult it is to lean into each other and to allow yourselves to feel both of those emotions. But you know, the Bible tells us that we are to rejoice with those who rejoice, and we are to mourn with those who mourn. And while I'm so grateful that my friends have stood by me and mourned with me so well, at the same time, now it's my turn to rejoice with them in what they are going through. You know, the more I looked into this and the more I dug into some scriptures, I really started to feel convicted about this. By the way, guys, I do not know the scripture off the top of my head. I do some research on my own and I look this stuff up, so I am not just spouting this off the top of my head. I started reading about how we're to give thanks in all of our circumstances. That's God's will. And we're called to love everyone. And love is patient and it's kind and it doesn't envy, it doesn't boast. Those are all things that point towards helping celebrate other people, even though you might not feel like it and it might be hard for you to do. Okay, so here's another really convicting scripture. Whenever I started piecing everything together, I was in James and reading about how if anyone is sad, let them pray. If anyone is happy, let them sing praise. And it dawned on me that God has given people the authority to be happy and to be joyful and to do it publicly. And sometimes when we're mourning and we're grieving and we're sad, we tend to think that people should be extra cautious around us and extra thoughtful and not be too happy because we're going through something specific. And I was just really convicted that God has asked people to sing songs of praise and rejoice out loud whenever they are happy and whenever He's blessed them. Not only are we to allow them to do that and give them the grace to do that, but we are to celebrate with them and to rejoice with them. Okay, so let me be authentic right here. This is hard. This is difficult. This is not easy to do. And you might feel like you're doing it all the time. You're constantly rejoicing with somebody when you're in pain. And it's hard. But that is what we are called to do. It is very clear. And I also believe that that's the kind of friend that most of us want to be, is that friend who is going to be happy despite my own feelings. I'm going to be happy for you and I'm going to celebrate with you. Again, I'm feeling really convicted about this. This is truly an episode that I'm working on it, right? Okay, so let me reiterate all of that. First of all, people have been called by God to rejoice publicly whenever they are blessed by Him. Secondly, we are called to rejoice with them. And a third point I want to make is the idea that joy is contagious and joy is good for us. And whenever you're sad, you don't necessarily always want to be around somebody who's really happy. And at the same time, it can be really good for your soul. And there's a part in the Bible where it talks about a joyful heart being good medicine. And I believe that. I believe you can feed off of that and feed off of the happiness. So that is a wrap for this latest edition of Joy, Grief, and Authenticity. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to my former colleague, Debbie Cox, for this fabulous swan sweater. I could not help myself. I had to actually wear it for a video. She gave it to me in honor of Hollis. So I love and appreciate that. Thank you, Debbie. And I also want to let you guys know that if you're wondering how you can keep up with these videos as they come out, a lot of people have been asking me. I do post them on Facebook and Instagram, but an easy way to be notified is to click subscribe. On YouTube, as you scroll down, you can see a subscribe button in red, and that will notify you of new videos as they are posted.